What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Sacred Cards. Today I'm coming at you with an update to my Dinomorphia deck profile for March 2024. I really wanted to share an updated list with you because I've been doing a ton of work trying to perfect this deck and boatloads of testing against the meta and all different types of matchups. This deck has been a lot of fun to play, and I've got the ratios down to be rather consistent and balanced. As most of you know, I love Dino type monsters. Its playstyle will get you down to an incredibly low life points, and the less you have, the more confident and set up you will be. It's the perfect risk reward strategy. Also, be sure to give the video a like if you did and subscribe for more content. So with all that said, I'll go through my deck list and try and explain the cards as best I can. Let's get right on into it here. Starting off, the monsters is 3 copies of Dinomorphia Therizia. If this card is normal or special summon, you can set any Dinomorphia trap directly from your deck. Then if your life points are 2,000 or less, it gains 500 attack. It also floats if it's destroyed. You can banish your trap from your graveyard, special summon a level 4 or lower Dinomorphia from your graveyard. Next up is triple copies of Dinomorphia Diplos. Just so you know, I have tried cutting this card down to 2 throughout testing, but if I ever find myself in a grind game, you really need all the resources you can get. Plus, if I lose a grind game, I usually find it's because of a deck building error. So for now, I think 3 is correct. If this card is normal or special summon, you can send any Dinomorphia card from your deck to the graveyard. Then if your life points are 2,000 or less, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. If this card is destroyed, you can banish any trap from your graveyard, special summon a level 4 or lower Dinomorphia monster from the graveyard. And one of my favorite cards in the deck is a single copy of Wannabe. I was playing this at 3 before, but I wanted to make room for some other cards. You like to see it, but you don't want to see multiple, in my opinion. This is a great tech for the deck because during the end phase, you can send this card from your hand to the hand or field to the graveyard, excavate cards from the top of your deck up to the number of your opponent's unused spell trap zones, then set one excavated trap to your field. Place the rest on the bottom of the deck. It always ensures you have the cards you need. I like this over Prosperity as I find you need the whole extra deck, especially if you find yourself in a grind game. That rounds off a very small monster lineup. Now on to the spells. A new card I've been testing is triple copies of Upstart Goblin. Fresh off the ban list, this card essentially means we are playing a 37 card list. You don't really mind your opponent gaining some life points if it means you can dig through the deck to find the cards you need. For more draw power, I love 2 copies of Pot of Duality. It lets you excavate the top 3 cards of your deck and add 1 to your hand, helping you dig for the cards you need. You can't special summon the turn you activate this, but it does let you set up with your normal summon to let you play during your opponent's turn with all of your traps. Now that is it for the spells. Now for the traps, starting off with 3 copies of Dinomorphia Frenzy, one of the most important cards in the deck. During your opponent's main phase, pay half your life points, fusion summon a Dinomorphia monster using 1 from your deck and 1 monster from your extra deck as fuse material. This card also has the effect that when your opponent activates a card or effect while your life points are 2,000 or less, you can banish this card from your graveyard and you take no effect damage for that turn. The other fusion trap is 3 copies of Dinomorphia Domain. I finally got my hands on at least 1 secret rare of this card for now, so I apologize for the mismatching rarities. During the main phase, pay half your life points, fusion summon a Dinomorphia monster using material from your hand, deck, or field. It also has the effect of Frenzy. When your opponent activates a card or effect while your life points are 2,000 or less, banish this card, take no effect damage from your opponent this turn. Next, more normal traps. Wrong order here. More normal traps, 2 copies of Dinomorphia Intact. Dinomorphia Alert. This card is great for the grind game. Alert can allow you to pay half your life points, special summon up to 2 Dinomorphia cards in the graveyard whose total levels equal 8 or less. Like the other normal traps, when your opponent activates a card or effect while your life points are 2,000 or less, banish this card, prevent effect damage for that turn. Now for the counter traps. 3 copies of Dinomorphia intact. When a monster effect is activated while you control a Dinomorphia card, pay half your life points to negate that effect and destroy that monster. Also, whenever you take battle damage this turn, it becomes half of whatever your life points are at the time. Plus, during damage calculation, if you would take damage, banish this card and you take no damage from that battle. This card is great because if you only need to have a Dinomorphia card face up to resolve this effect. So if you activate Frenzy, for example, and your opponent tries to ash you, you can hit that ash with intact. Now, the last Dinomorphia card I play in the main deck is a single copy of Dinomorphia Reversion. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Sacred, this card isn't good. No one plays it. It's too situational. Now, you may be right, but hear me out. I only play the 1 copy so you can search it when needed. We also play 12 counter traps in the deck, 13 if you include this card, in essentially a 37 card deck. It's incredibly powerful being able to copy the ability of any one of them. So throughout testing, I really liked having access to this. And if you don't need it, you can always send it to the grave with Diplos to protect your life points. Now for some more counter traps. 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. This card is great for the deck because once again, pay half your life points to negate the summon or activation of a spell trap card and destroy it. Now here's some spice. A brand new card I've been testing with is 3 copies of Iron Thunder. This card is a beauty and it fits the bill perfectly for a deck like Dinomorphia. It's a more destructive Solemn Judgment. When a spell trap or monster effect is activated, pay half your life points to negate and destroy that card. Then destroy any other cards in the same column the destroyed card was in. Next, I'm back on 3 copies of Solemn Strike. I really wanted to maximize the counter traps in the counter trap lineup, as this one takes care of so many things your opponent tries to throw at you, including hand traps. The only thing you have to be careful of is you have to pay the 1,500 life points for cost. So I really like setting up with Stealth Burgess so you don't have to pay any life points to activate trap cards. And hands down, one of my favorite techs in the deck is 3 copies of Ferret Flames. This deck makes great use of this card because if the combined attack of all monsters your opponent controls is higher than your life points, make your opponent shuffle their monsters back into the deck so that the combined attack is less than or equal to your life points. It's also not once per turn. Any card that makes your opponent do anything is inherently good, in my opinion. And next, I am still playing 3 copies of Soul of the Supreme King. Another great tech for the deck because you can pay half your life points, special summon Supreme King Zark from your extra deck. Its effects are negated and is returned to the extra deck at the end of the next turn, allowing you to use it again. The best ability of this card is when your opponent activates a spell card or effect, banish this card and Supreme King Zark to special summon 1 Pendulum Dragon, 1 Xyz Dragon, 1 Synchro Dragon, and 1 Fusion Dragon monsters from your hand, deck, or extra deck, or graveyard. This gives you several new monsters on the board. This is one of my favorite engines to play with this deck. I'll show you the cards it gives access to in the extra deck. And finally, the last card we play in the main is 1 copy of Summon Limit. This hands down one of the best floodgates we can play. I didn't want to play more than 1 because you don't really want to draw into a second. Plus it's great because I can almost guarantee that my 2 summons will be more impactful than my opponent's 2 summons. Most decks can't play around this card, so I thought it was perfect for the last slot in the deck. It was between this or Called By, and I think either option would have been fine, but I've been testing this for now and I've really enjoyed it. Well, that's it for the main deck, a very tight 40 card list. Now moving on to the extra deck. Starting things off, I play 3 copies of Dinomorphia Rex Term. While this card is on the field, your opponent cannot activate monster effects of monsters with attack greater than or equal to your life points. Quick effect, pay half your life points. The attack of all monsters your opponent controls become equal to your life points. And if this card is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can special summon a level 6 or lower Dinomorphia monster from your graveyard. Next up is 3 copies of Dinomorphia Kentrigina. This 4,000 attack monster loses attack equal to your life points, but has the amazing ability to quick effect, banish a Dinomorphia normal trap, and that card's effect becomes this card's effect. So technically you can use your copy of Frenzy to fusion summon this card and then copy Frenzy's effect again to get a copy of Rex Term as well. Plus if this card is destroyed, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Dinomorphia from your graveyard. And last of the engine cards is triple copies of Dinomorphia Stealth Bergia. I love the artwork on this card, and it has the effect that when your life points are 2,000 or less, you don't have to pay life points to activate trap cards or your monster's effects. It also has quick effect. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you can inflict damage equal to that monster's original attack. Great for burn damage. It also has the effect that when it's destroyed, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Dinomorphia from the graveyard. Next is 2 copies of Supreme King Zark. You make Zark with your copies of Soul of the Supreme King, so its effects will be negated, but it provides a huge 4,000 attack and defense and will return to the extra deck the turn after it is summoned. Although if it does get destroyed and you place it in the Pendulum Zone, then Fusion, Synchro, and Xyz monsters your opponent controls can't activate their effects. Plus, if your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand, destroy that card. I was playing 1 copy, but 2 has come up far too often, especially when you draw into multiple copies of Soul of the Supreme King. And following that up is 1 copy of Odd Eyes Archray Dragon. Odd Eyes Archray Dragon is the cover card from Age of Overlord. This card's name is always treated as Supreme King Zark. This face down card in the extra deck must either be fusion summoned or special summoned by tributing 1 level 12 Dark Supreme King Zark, giving you a permanent 4,000 attack and defense body on the field. The next 2 cards are my targets for Soul of the Supreme King. By simply banishing the trap card and your copy of Zark, giving you access to the following cards all at once. 1 copy of Brave Eyes Pendulum Dragon and 1 copy of Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. The main effect with Brave Eyes is when this card attacks an opponent's monster and that card is not destroyed, you banish that monster. Crystal Wing has the ability that when another monster's effect is activated, quick effect, you can negate the activation, destroy it. If you do, this card gains attack equal to the destroyed monsters until the end of the turn. Plus, if this card battles a level 5 or higher monster, during damage calculation, this card gains attack equal to the current attack of the monster it's battling. And finally, the last card I play is 1 copy of Avalzar Logia. This is another walking negate that is super easy to make with 2 level 4 Dino monsters. When a monster would be normal or special summoned when a spell trap is activated, you can detach 2 materials, negate, and destroy that card. Well, that is it for the deck profile. I really hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything you like or don't like, please leave me a comment telling me what you think. Be sure to like the video if you did and subscribe for more content. Thank you for your support and always enjoy the Sacred Cards. See you all in the next one.